Okay, guys, this is for my next installment that we're going to be talking about is the gap scheme run game inside the air raid offense. This is going to be just from 10 personnel, one back. So I know there's a lot of people that say you can't continuously run the football in the air raid offense, and I want to take this to show you some keys that we use, why we use the gap scheme run game, and how it has helped us to lead the conference the last 4 years in our scheme. When we talk about one-back run game, it is a different animal than a two-back run game. You have to kind of look at the defense a little differently. One of the big things that I want to see is if they're a four-man front, do they have an anchor and a rush defensive end? Many times what we're going to see is because the back is in, if you want to say the sidecar, he's not in a pistol look, we'll get the anchor end to the side away from our back, and we'll get the rush end to our back. And that's something that I want to see on film. That's something that I need to make an in-game adjustment. But it's very easy to adjust against. Is what we really want to do is make the anchor end the rush end and the rush end the anchor end. And I can easily tell my quarterback, hey, when I call this run, find number so-and-so, flip the play to him if you have to, and let's run at this guy. And I make them have to split their roles from what they're comfortable at doing because we're a gap scheme run team. Other thing I want to see is, are they setting the defense to the formation and the back, just the formation? Do they play a field defense, or do they play it based on formation and back, such as like if we're in trips left and the backs left, or they understand that that's a four-strong possibility in the passing game? Why I do this is against odd fronts that move and slant and stem and do some things, you're going to get some tendencies on film. At some point in time, that odd front is going to go to a shade front. Even if they don't, you can kind of force them to go to a shade front based on the down blocks from a gap scheme, which is nice. So there's not so much of a guessing game. Another thing about understanding this is it allows me to manipulate where the bulk of the defense is going based on formation or back to the field and run the opposite way. And I know that's not an ingenious idea, but it's as simple as that when you're talking about calling a one-back run game. Do they have a front side and a scrape side? Kind of what I mean by that is one of their linebackers, is he more of a front side player, and they've got a true what we used to call the wheel linebacker in the old 4-3, who's the runner. That's one of the things we want. So how can I set it up to where I make the wheel have to take on the G block and the front side guy that's used to coming, and he's now got to become the scraper. So I try to figure out that also and try to get the best of both worlds. Are they an even spiel defense? If you're in a one-back run game and you're a gap scheme, what you're going to do is you're going to get a lot of those five techniques. When you pull to them, you're going to get them trying to get down in that gap hard and spill it. Ironically, this is where some of our biggest runs come from. But I want to see that so that we can really go through week to week what we're doing and how to handle this. The other thing that we're going to look at is, if they're an odd slant, if they're an odd front, they're going to be a slant pinch defense versus 10-back personnel. One of the biggest things defenses look at is, okay, if they're a one-back defense, we're going to get into 4-0-4, and then we're just going to pinch down into double eagle and get those three techniques in there. I love this, and I'm going to show you why. Is because now it becomes a complete down block and a pile in the middle of the field, and my pullers are free to kick and lead up. And so it actually kills the internal blitzing. When they do that, it actually lets us be able to bounce the play. And again, some of our biggest plays in our offense come from this. And so I kind of just wanted to bring those 5 points to you when you're breaking it down with a one-back run gap scheme. This is what you have to look for. All right, this is kind of where, the rubber meets the road. When we put the air raid in at the school I'm at, this is something that, a lot of people said, hey, we don't know if we can do this. And we'd always been a power run school, basically an I formation wing T type school. We had led the conference in rushing year after year. But we come up on a time when we didn't have those backs. We had a younger, smaller offensive line. And we weren't going to be able to just pound people. And one of the things we did not want to sacrifice when I went into this offense I did not want to sacrifice the run game. You can run the football in the air raid. You can run the ball consistently from a one-back set. And you don't have to have blistering tailbacks. You don't have to have big, huge tailbacks. We've done it really with all types of tailbacks. But as you can see the numbers, we average more yards per carry in this one-back system than we did in the actual two-back system. And we haven't sacrificed it. You can see the TDs, 18, 19, 21, 22 TDs. And also, if you look at it, we've averaged over 2,000 yards rushing. And for the past 4 years, we put up nearly 9,000 yards on the ground. And so we're not sacrificing a identity because of a formation or what some people would say is a offense that's not very physical. What is the secret to our system? I will tell you that we have done this with 160-pound linemen, 220-pound linemen. We have done it with all different types of skill sets. The one thing I like, and as you can see in this picture, we are a wide split team. Okay, as you can see, the width of the splits. Okay, but what we're also is we're deep in this situation. If you really look, we tell our guard, because we're in 2-point stances, we tell our guard to break the center's belt when you lean over, as he is now. And we tell the tackle to set off of the guard. Again, nothing nobody knows. What the depth of this allows us to do is depth gains a large advantage from the gap scheme. We know that the number one thing people try to do against a gap scheme is people try their best to create penetration. Now, you would think the first thing you're going to do is, well, we go to wide line splits, it's easier to penetrate. Absolutely, it does not. It's the same reason we play our linebackers at depth. Depth equals leverage. It creates better lanes to handle the studding lineman in an odd front because we're able to stay square longer. The slant of the defensive lineman now becomes greater. It's a greater angle for him to get to that hip of that guard. It's a more flat angle. If we were up on the line of scrimmage, even with the center, it takes a much better lineman to cut somebody off in that situation. It allows us to stay square, strong, longer to the line of scrimmage because one step to the left or right is equal to 2 to 3 steps of that stunting defensive lineman. It creates easier down blocks because, again, we're able to stay square longer. We're able to maintain our pulling lanes are already established. And I love it for interior blitzing because the interior blitz is now, they're either going to show their hand and walk up, or if they blitz from depth, it gives us a lot of area to cut down on and allows the backs more freedom. Another reason we like the wide splits and the gap scheme is because, we have about 3 RPOs that we run. We have 2 gap schemes in our offense. We have an isolation play that we put in, and then we have a zone that we run very little. Zone is probably our 4th run, called maybe 8% all season, if that. The reason I like it is because when you attach it to our 4 RPO quick games, it puts the linebackers in what I call 3-way conflict. It's a run, a pass, and a pull conflict. So those interior backers that are trying to help out on that stick hitch area are now getting a pull to or pull away. So they're in run conflict. They're already in pass conflict because we're running routes. But now the third thing that all linebackers are taught is we try to read guards and end men on line of scrimmage, and if they get a pull away, they've got to get over or 2, get downhill now. And so now you've basically taken the box and eliminated them from being able to help in the curl flat. They now have to dedicate secondary players to the perimeter and box players to the box. It makes it very difficult to feed an RPO attached to a gap scheme. Okay, let's talk about my favorite play. The best play in football, to me, is old GT counter tray. Pulling the guard, pulling the tackle. We've seen this for years. Back when the Redskins were in their heyday, they ran it and ran it and ran it. We've seen it from every I formation, wing T team, double wing team. We've seen the counter. This is what we hang our hat on in our one-back offense. and I'm going to explain to you some small teaching adjustments that we've made, not to really change the play at all, but to make it more productive in a one-back set. Here recently, the last 2 seasons, we've had a more of a pro-style quarterback. Now, when we have a run-style quarterback, we allow him to read the backside, and we also run Q counter, because against a 6-man box, you get them all blocked. And we teach it the same way with the running back, basically going B to D, picking up any trash if we're running Q counter. But we're going to talk about without a running quarterback in a one-back set. What we talk about starting off with is the center. Okay, we're going to talk about going to the shade in this slide. The worst thing that can happen is backside blitz through A gap. So if we're running it to a shade, he's going to go man to backside. So if there's nobody on to backside gap, we're going to work back. The hardest thing to deal with in this situation is basically this 3 technique is going to get in the hip pocket of the guard and try to meet you right there behind the center's hind end. This is what we've taught one of our centers and what we've kind of made into a rule. When he snaps the ball, we're looking to trap block A through B gap. So the first thing that shows, we're going to stack them up like cars in a chain reaction wreck. So what we have found is when we teach this guy to trap, if the Sam does not come and we're going down the line, if we hit that 3, we can work him upfield, and we're going to double stack the 5 and kill the backside pursuit. Okay, that is a key thing. And is it hard? Absolutely not. Snap the ball and get flat down the line. Remember, we're not asking guards. This picture is not how we look. Our guards are back here, and our tackles are back here. So we're able to pull out and get around and get through. All right, so it's basically just a true like wham block. You know, I teach it like we're trapping the 3 technique in an old 2-back offense. So what we also do to the shade is we look at when we're pulling our linemen, we really want them running. We want them on the move. Our wide line splits, they widen out linemen, so they're farther away from the point of attack. So that means there's a give and take in that. We want the advantages of what I talked about earlier with the deeper linemen and the wider linemen, but we also understand there's a give and take where it's farther to the pull point. The biggest thing we also want to see is that when we pull out, we're going to teach a door open, door closed to the tackle. The guard is taught when he pulls out, he is looking for this end man on line of scrimmage. If this end man flies down, it's probably going to be a log block, which we're going to call door open for the tackle. So we teach the tackle that's pulling behind the guard, if you can see the back of the guard turn up inside. If you can see his shoulders, keep climbing around for the log. And so that's one of the biggest things that we talk about and we teach that we want to see in this is that is something that we must do in order to get it idea. And we drill it and drill it and drill it and drill it. While I'm doing routes on air in practice with my receivers and quarterbacks, the offensive line coach and the running backs coach are down, and they're doing inside run with the linemen, the backs, and a 7-man box. And so we're getting 16, 17 reps a day of these prime plays that we run before we ever go to team time. And that allows us to practice more efficiently and better. Okay, so we want our pullers running. The running back, I do not, and I'll show you this on film, I do not want him to open up his shoulders. We run a lot of swing routes to the sideline. And so what I want him to do is width step to the outside, opposite of the way the play's going, like he's turning his shoulders to run the swing route. And then immediately plant the inside foot, and we call it slide and dive through the handoff. Marry with the guard and hit it wide open. Okay, one cut, get vertical. So that's why we do that, and we kind of look at it. Now going the opposite direction at the 3 technique is a little easier. And I'm going to show you one thing I'm going to say about going to the 3 technique. I do not want a double team on a 3 technique unless we absolutely have to. And again, the depth of the lineman is going to allow you to make this down block easier because the guard is here. When he steps, he's even, and then he's across the face of that 3 technique. The only time I want a double team on a 3 technique is if we absolutely 100% cannot handle this guy. And we can't get across his face, and that should be mathematically impossible, but it does happen. We got kids, and it's a football game. I want a straight down block by this guard. Again, we're going to go gap man, backside. So there's nothing here in the gap, a gap, and so we're going to go backside to this backside backer right now. This tackle would be down on this 3 technique. We all know that from counter. Okay, the center now has an easier block. The center now has an easier block because he is going back on the 1 technique, the 2-eye, however it would be. 2 twos I treat the same way as a shade front. Okay, and we're doing the same thing that we've done against the run it to the shade earlier in the film. So this is not a complete change of situation here. Okay, let's look at it going against the odd, because everybody asks me against the odd front. I love counter against the odd front because the way we teach it allows us to negate what they're doing. The play side tackle shown here in the right is got all of this 4 technique. So if he goes outside, we're going to take him outside. If he crashes hard inside, we're going to take him hard inside. And this is where the door open, door closed works great. And I would teach it against the odd, and it becomes easy against an even. Okay? Again, the guard's going to go gap down to backside. I would love to see him. If the nose goes opposite, we're flying up and over, and we'll double to the backside if not. Okay, the 4 technique on the backside, and we try to do this a lot. We try to be able to if this nose goes opposite, try to chip him with both the center, and I'll show you some film on that. Again, we're pulling through, but what I like about it is if they're going to pinch a lot and they're going to bring this 4 inside, what happens now is we're going to kick that end outside, and we're going to wrap for that mic. So now it's become like basically back to a shade front with an overhang, and it's beautiful. If we're running it the opposite way, it's even better because they have no force player because of the formation out here, and that's what I talked about. If we had trips to the left and they're going to move their overhang player out, we've got a really good play, especially if they're going to pinch inside, or if they slant out, we're basically running it to a shade 5 side, which is a nice bubble. So it's the same type of thing, but this is what I want to teach it against. Okay? So let's take a look at some film here, because I know you want to see film on what we're doing and how we do it, and I'm going to show you the GT personnel here and how we run it from this standpoint. Okay, I want to show you here. You can see in this situation, we've got a 4-man front. We've got a 4-2 box. This team like to get the weak safety involved on the weak side, and you can see how they got us in the triangle here. All right. You can see the depth of our back, and that's one thing I failed to mention. The depth of our back, we're going to split the guard's outside leg, and we're going to be 1 yard deep. Okay, we're going to be 1 yard deep. And I do this for every run play because I want it to look the same. Okay, if you look here, we got a nice pull. We're down on the 3 technique. Okay, we're down on that 3 technique. We're going to the backside. We're doubling down backside here. You see us going to the backside backer. Now look at this, and this is kind of what we want to hit on right here. We got a kick. Again, this tackle here, if you watch it, this tackle sees the door closed. That means his guard has kicked. He can see his back. He's going to pull up and through. We make 1 cut. We get downhill for a big gain. Okay, so you can kind of see how that works, and I'll show you this at full speed so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. When we come up, got a kick, lead through, and big play down the stretch there. And so that's something that I want to do. Okay, now in this situation, okay, we're in the same situation. Now we put the formation to the boundary. They've tried to move an overhang in. We're trying to close this game out. My wide receiver just decided to move down. We've actually got trips left called. He decided to move down just a help. This was not a call. He just is a senior and he done it on his own. But I kind of want to show you how this works out in this situation. Okay. They're going to try to take this play side 5 technique and really screen him down to disrupt the play here. And if you watch it as we snap the ball, we're going to get a door open situation. Okay, watch this 5 technique. We're going to try to get down on our down block. And you can see right now that they're trying to stun us, play side. He disrupts the down block, but look at our guard here coming through. Okay, the guard keeps pulling. The tackle gets a door open. Again, I can't see his back. All right, I can't see his back, so the door's open, and I keep climbing. Get a nice block from a receiver downfield. Okay, and there we go. That's the good thing. And I'll let you see this all the way through. So you can kind of see it at real speed here at the same time. So again, getting a good door open look. They're going to take that 5 technique and really, really try to crash him. Okay, this is being able to run the football late in a game without putting an H-back in. We're going to climb around the hump, and we steal a late touchdown. Okay, just because we follow our rules. Okay, this next clip is similar. This defense is determined to spill and kill it and let these linebackers run free. Okay, you can kind of get a look from here. Okay, you can see he has turned his shoulders and he is bound and determined to squeeze this and let this linebacker scrape. If you look, they're going to try to run through backside A gap. I think they were in 2-2s to start off with. So we're going to tell that guard man on, get a chip. We're looking inside A gap back here. He'll come off on inside A gap. Okay, you can see that my tackle now has a door open. There's nothing here to make him turn inside. And so we're going to climb this run. He kicks the over pursuing linebacker. We read the block for a big run downhill. Okay. Again, that could have been problematic because they're determined in that situation to spill it. And as you can see, we just keep pulling around, looking inside. The key to that is this tackle. When he comes around this door open idea, he's got to get his head inside. See right there, he's coming tight off the hip, so there's no underneath run through. He's tight off that tackle's hip. You see the running back being patient and makes a cut off the block, getting vertical and making hay, and that's what we all want in that situation. Okay. Similar situation in this point. Okay, similar situation in this point. They're trying to play games with the outside backer. You can see the 5 technique is firing off, coming to get us. Again, we've got an open door here. That tackle has nothing, no blue door in front of him that's going to keep him from pulling around. Okay, so we pull around, looking inside. Now, look, this is what we're talking about, fitting tight off that lineman. If we just run this with a sweep pull path on sweep, he's going to hit our running back for a loss. But because this tackle comes tight off that hip, he's able to get square on that block. We read the block. We get vertical. Okay. Break through an arm tackle because secondary guys do not like to tackle. And we're setting up 1st and goal. Okay. That's one of the things that I kind of look at when we talk about those type of things. Okay. Here we go. Here is an odd front. And this is when we first started teaching. Trying to get back on these 4 techniques and with that trap block scheme. Okay, this is when we first started teaching that. And so if you look at this, we're going to pull, and you can see these guys are coming upfield. They actually had an overhang. Okay, this is what we're talking about, manning the 4 technique front side. If we man that 4 technique front side, he pinches down, and we get him driven. we've already got two guys on the back level. Look at our center. He's got the nose tackle. He's got the nose tackle press. Look at his head. He's going to try to get him some of that 4 technique, and this is when we first started teaching this. He misses, but we get through the front side, and we get a nice football play out of this, guys, a nice football play. And if we go back and look at that again, what was so special about that situation is our pullers are able to read the door open, door closed mentality, and we're able to get to the second level. If you watch, okay, the nose went away. We're manning the 4, and he goes inside. We got him. The guard leaves, and the nose goes away, so he's going all the way to backside now. And this is what I mean about being able to pull where he's the run force. Okay, but he also has to worry about this inside receiver winning the seam right now. And so this is kind of what I mean. We get a nice square block. This is another great block. Look here. The tackle is pulling through and wrapping. Even though we make this open door block here, because it basically turns into glorified power sweep, because of the 4 technique coming down, the guard, he just keeps wrapping. The tackle now gets his head inside right off of that guard's block, creates that nice seal that allows us to pick a big gain up right there, and that's as pretty as it comes. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's talk about your center doing work here and being able to play some. Okay, this is for the conference championship, last game of the season. You see what we're doing here? Here's your rush end. Here's your anchor. Okay, this is the second half of the football game. Really good football team here. I want to make this guy the anchor, and I want to make this guy the rush end because they haven't practiced that all week long. Okay, so now what we're going to do, move the back. Very simple adjustment. We pull. Look at the down block angle. When we get down on this, the outside backer has no chance. We get down on this technique here, and look. We have stacked them. He's now got to become a fold player. We're off to the second level. We get a good kick. There's our lead. Now the fold player's having to make a tackle, and we get a nice gain. Again, that's doing your scouting from the backside and understanding that, hey, I'm going to move the back over because coach told me to run at this kid and make him the chaser. Okay, so we're making the slower kid the chaser, and the faster kid have to take on the kick out block. Again, nothing revolutionary, but very, very great tool to use when you're a gap scheme because you're able to get up in here and run the football effectively by making kids switch their responsibilities. And that's one of the big things there. Okay? So, as we have seen and looked at our GT play, I'm going to talk about our next biggest play in the scheme, and that's our G. Some people will call it dart. We do not. I call it a G scheme because we're going to pull the tackle. We're going to pull the tackle versus 4-man front. We're going to pull the guard as a base against a 3-man front, and I'll teach you when we have the tackle pull against a 3-man front as we go through this. Okay, our G play versus the shade. We teach starting from front side and our wide split, and we throw the ball. A lot of times we're going to get an upfield rush if we pass set. So we teach the play side tackle, step hard inside and prevent pinch him from crossing the face. Now, in some situations, he does cross the face. We tell him you got all of that 5 technique. So if he crosses your face, you got to get him down and block down, and then we talk about it's almost like a door open, door closed for the pull and tackle. What we're going to talk about from the backside guard is we're going to do this. We're going to take the backside guard and we're going to, the front side guard, and we're going to double the shade with the center to the backside backer. What I love about this play is this 5 technique has to figure out if he's a running quarterback, if he's going to be the squeeze, okay, then they've got to be able to, we've got somebody for the scrape. If they're going to scrape away, they're basically turning into a 5-man box. We are blocking the box and making the 5 technique be the hero, okay, in pass, run, screens, everything. We are making the 5 technique that's got his hand in the dirt, we're going to make him be the hero of the defense. The backside guard is going to block out on the 3. Don't let him cross your face at all. The tackle is going to pull through the front side A gap unless the 5 technique has slammed it shut. So as he's pulling, he's looking first gap open past A gap, okay, and he's going to pull up in it. We tell the running back the same footwork. He's going to take a whiz step and dive through the handoff and marry with that tackle and hit it wide open. This is a gap run play. It's not a dance cutback play. You find that guy that's pulling, you marry with him, and you cut off of his block. So to a shade, that is how we're going to take care of it. To a 3 technique. Okay, to a 3 technique, it's an easier play in some aspects. From that standpoint, is because you get a natural bubble and a gap, and you're going to get 2 out blocks by the play side guard and tackle. Play side guard, I'm out on the 3 technique. If it's a 2 technique, we got to man him and get inside. And again, if he crosses our face because they're trying to stunt those, then the tackle is going to pull up in the first open gap past the center. So we don't worry so much about slanting 2s and all this other stuff. The play side tackle is going to block out on the 5 technique, and the center and the backside guard are going to double the shade, 2-eye, whatever it is, to the backside linebacker. The tackle is going to pull through, as I said earlier, and he is going to isolate and square up on that play side backer. And one of the key points you tell him when pulling, he's got to pull tight off of the first open hole. He can't loop this thing in there because it creates an underneath run through. He's got to pull tight off the hip and get vertical right now because the back's coming behind him and he's going to cut one way or the other based off of that. Okay. How do we do it versus odd? Versus odd, we do it one of 2 ways, and I'll show you the base. This is the base example of how we teach it. So against an odd front, it's the open man pulling. So now the guards are open because we've got basically 2 tackles. Now if we had 2 3s, we're going to pull the tackle, but we got 2 4s. We're going to pull the guard at all possible cost. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell the tackles the same rules that they have front side on counter for both sides. You're going to man that 4. You're going to man that 4 technique and try your best to cut him off. Okay, if the front side 4 tries to come hard inside, just run him down and we'll pull 1 gap wider. Okay, the backside tackle, we got to get him cut off. Prevent pinch hard, step hard inside, get inside across his breastplate and make him come upfield. Okay, the front side guard is going to he's going to gap down to the nose tackle. If the nose goes away, he's going immediately to the backside backer. If he knows 2, they're going to work that combo to the backside backer. The guard is now we want him at all possible costs to pro pull, skip pull this thing around and get vertical right now on the block. It's the same footwork for the back. Whiz step, slide and dive, and get downhill. This is our base way of doing it, but you got to have answers sometimes. Our answer is to stay true and fold the backside. Stay true with our 4-man scheme. If this 3 technique that you're pulling away from is just he's on a Power 5 scholarship and you know your Johnny can't block that Joe, then you've got to have answers. So what we do to create a natural bubble and a better angle to the situation is we're going to fold block the backside. So now the guard, and we will just make a fold call. We're going to fold it. We've done this in game and during the week of preparation. Your backside guard is basically going to kick out the tackle. The defensive tackle 4 technique, that means they're going to try to pinch hard inside and beat you across your face and just give you a whole lot of trash. This is a way to take that away from them. The play remains the same. The only difference now The only difference now is the tackle has to read the 4 techniques block on the front side, and this is not hard, guys. You rep it, you rep it, you rep it. You're looking as you're pulling the first gap inside, turn it, and get gone, and you're telling your back to marry with a puller. That is one of the best things about a gap scheme run is you're telling your back, find your puller, marry with him, and cut off of him. That's one of the best things. Inside zone, I love, is a great play. Inside zone is very expensive. It's very labor intensive. And we've able to get the same runs based on know what kind. If we don't have a zone back year in and year out, we got a gap scheme back that can get downhill. Whether he's more of a fullback type, whether he's a scat back type, it doesn't matter. I always like a play that's got a lead blocker. Okay, always got to like a play that's got a lead blocker. Okay, so let's kind of talk about how we throw this in here a little bit. How do we throw a wrench in the fact that because our back is always lined up beside our quarterback, how do we break that tendency? We make a wrong call. And all the wrong call does, it doesn't tell the lineman anything. They're running G left or G right up front. The wrong signal tells the quarterback to tell the running back, you line up on the play side, and we're going to hit this thing more of a downhill. It now breaks the tendency. It breaks the tendency of they're going to put their best linebacker when they're playing an anchor and a rush. It breaks their tendency on linebackers where they're going to play them back two, back away. Formationally, back two, back away. If they're going to put their scraper away from the back because he's a good runner, this is a great way of doing it because we're going to get a natural down block to him. So we're going to put the back opposite. It changes nothing up front. It's still a slide and a dive. And what I like about it is it creates a downhill gap run right now in this situation. It breaks the tendencies. It allows you to counter the rush anchor. It can use a fold scheme and I guess the odd front if needed. We've already talked about that. And it gives you the same side approach of a downhill run. It's like running isolation instead of a true gap play. So I like that situation from it. Okay, so let's take a look at some film. In this situation, we're going to go to, here we go. Okay. Again, we've got the G call, and we've got a fold in this. We have a fold in this, so we're going to watch it, and you'll see the fold come through. Here, pretty good team on the back side. You can see front side. If you look on the back side up there, they're basically a stack team, and they've broken their stack. And we've got odd front. You can see the guard block out. The tackle's pulling, and this is what we talk about: the door open, door closed. They're pinching really hard. Okay, they're trying to absolutely wad the middle up and let these linebackers play and not get blocked immediately. The tackle pulls around. And this is what's nice. He should have been a little bit better, a little tighter. He gets on his outside enough. Your back makes a move from over pursuing of the run force, and you get a big gain after the play. So again, when we look at this, this is the worst case scenario you're going to face. So we're folding that backside. We're going to man that front side 4 technique as we talked about. So we're getting a fold block on the backside. We're manning that 4, and you can see we have got him demolished. Okay, there's blue shirts on each side of those white shirts as we go down the line of scrimmage. Because of the pulling lineman, you see the linebackers now are having to get more of a flat scrape. All right, we get a pull around, and then we're telling the running back to do what he does and run the grass after the line of scrimmage, make people pay on the end of the run. Okay. Same situation here. We've got an odd front. Okay, I believe we're going to straight pull the guard in this one. Yep, we're going to pull the guard. You can see him with more of a pro pull. Again, while we man the 4s, even if they're in a 5, look, we're going to get an outside block. So this is basically we're running to a 3, a shade 5 front here. We pull in the first hole. We're getting both linebackers. This is the double team to the next level. This is the pull through to the next level. We're getting a downhill run. And we're letting running backs do what they do once they get in space, and that's fine yardage. Okay, we let them find the yardage that they need. All right, and a good job of wide receivers blocking downfield. But this is why we keep the rules simple. This is why we've been able to be effective with lesser talent in some cases. And we've able to manufacture yards out of a one-back set is because of that. All right, so let's look at this. Similar situation here. Going to pull the guard again, so we're going to stay true. We were in a five technique backside, trying to create a two-way pass rush because we were throwing the ball. We're able to pull through. Nose goes away, so that double team guard is going immediately backside. We've manned the four up top, and we've got him blocked out. And if you look, he's fighting. We should have stayed on this a little longer. We should have got our hips around more and made him backdoor it more. That five technique got back off, but we stayed downhill with the run. Okay, and got a big gain. Again, you can see this. Everybody's not perfect. Front side, we got everything happening good on the back side. The front side up here, we should have stayed. We should have got our hat more to this side and forced him to go backdoor it. But you can see he's got his eyes, pretty athletic five technique. He gets off the block, but we're still having secondary kids have to make tackles. Okay, and they don't like that. Here's another situation against the same type front. And if you'll look, we're going to pull the guard again. You can see a skip pulling. Nose went away. We're handling those loose 4 to 5 techniques. Okay, we got a good prevent pinch backside. Doing a better job of getting our hat upfield now. Okay, to make him backdoor it. He's a pretty athletic kid. But look, we've got the box blocked. And they're worried about the pass, so we're able to get some nasty yards against teams that's trying to take away our passing game. Okay, here we are again with an odd front, and this is a stacked team I showed you earlier. All right, this is our very first year, number 4 ranked team in the state here in White. Very first year in the air raid. Okay, it's a big rivalry game for us. And you can kind of see what we're doing here. Against this odd front, they were blitzing us and sending us everywhere. Stay true to the rules. Stay true to the rules. Man in the fours. Double team, nose went away. This guard is going backside. This is what's nice, is when they blitz themselves out of the play and there's nobody to pull up on. Now, we should have stayed on that backside block. Again, only 4th game this guard's been in this. He should have stayed on this backside block a little better. All right, we get him right there. He missed him. He should have set his feet and really got down on him. But we have nobody for this guard to pull up on. There's not a soul in here, and so the back hits the hole wide open. We have a 25-yard gain. Okay, that's kind of what you want to see in those situations. Same situation here. I think we talked about this earlier. And we're just absolutely staying true to our rules and getting a big run out of it. Okay, big run out of it. So that's kind of where we're at in that situation. Okay, so what do you do next? Well, the flavor of the month is RPO game. The flavor of the month is RPO game. How do we make this available? How do RPOs play into it? The first offense I ever learned was the wing tee. What I loved about the wing tee is if you started reading guards, they always had answers to cross you up and lie to you. They always had quick hitters off of the fast motion that carved up the inside. There was always answers. And in a one-back set, you have to have answers such as our fold block, such as the door open, door closed situation. So what I'm looking for is how do RPOs help us? I don't get into a lot of RPOs. Okay, we don't. We run bubble. We run a book screen, which is a step back by number 2, and number 3 is blocking. It's just bubble, one man wider. We run stick, and we run a go concept that I'll show you. That's the only 4-quick game / screen game that we use against any of our run schemes. And so we pair them up. So This is what I've said, and I'll show you on film. By design, we have the defense in a 5-man box. If the ball is handed off, the run box is blocked sound. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is blocked in a 1-back set. Again, we're making the 5 technique have to be the hero. Okay. The problem with this is the 5 technique has to play chase, which opens up the read for the pass. Okay. We all know that when we get a pull-in lineman, he's going to get a pull call, and we teach this every day as defensive coordinators. I've got to get over or get down so that when he takes on that lead block, if he takes it on the outside shoulder, I got to get underneath to make the tackle. We know that. What's this allow us to do? It allows us to attack this part of the football field. It also makes these 3 guys isolated in perimeter coverage if they're going to be sound. Okay, so we have zone and man answers for this situation. All right. They may can try to get this weak side safety involved, and that's the case, then we're going to have to play action and throw something to beat him, like a sluggo or a seam route. So we have answers also. In this situation, we have a bubble tag, and the reason I like the bubble tag is because we can block the number 2 if he's splitting like this or if he's inside. But this guy cannot help on bubble if they're getting pulled away. Their defensive rules are not going to allow them to. They get pulled, they're so ingrained in pull that how they work the pulls in their system, they've got to do it. If they're going to make him chase, I've taken two pursuit people on a wide screen out of the play. Okay, without sacrificing the play. Okay, here is our go tag. Our go tag, y'all, is a spot route. Okay, if we're getting a zone system, we're going to stretch the flat immediately with a 2-yard now shoot route, post over the top to hold the safety, and then we're going to tell him to hook up right in this grass right here. Again, we're working the G scheme off of this. Okay. Our slant tag is more of a man tag. If we get a man look, we're going to just do the old slant flat combination. If they try to match it, it's fine. I'm okay with the run. But a lot of times we're really good because we got this double post action coming off the top. We're able to hit this on the run because now they're trying to handle what's coming at me now. And a lot of times we'll work that if they're playing some type of off man or we can't exactly figure out what they're doing backside. And again, here's the old staple in all RPOs. We're going to run the stick concept, which we teach a 3-step inside turn. We're looking to attack this space we talked about because we're pulling away from it. Okay, and I either teach this whichever way your quarterback or receiver runs a better route and how it hooks up for you. We either teach it in a 2-yard stretch right now by number 2. We're running a shoot route, or we're going to turn and run a bubble route. And we're going to post this guy because as soon as his safety starts getting hungry, we're going to throw it over the top. Okay, so let's look at some film on this because I know this is what everybody likes to see is the old RPOs. What I love is being able to run the run game and setting all this up and really splitting the defense. Here we go with this situation. This is a conference game for us. First or second play of the game. Okay, as you can see, they blitzed us a lot early in the game, and they were bringing pressure from everywhere. They put some more athletic kids on the offensive line to try to give us some problems. We actually tagged a guard pull this week against a 4-man front. Okay, as you can see, and we'll talk about this earlier, at this point, they have folded up a safety in here to try to get a 7-man box. I don't want you to look. All 3 hats, because of that pull play, are looking this way. That means they have 3-on-3 with a lot of grass out here trying to play quarters behind it. And he's the only flat player. Okay, so let's look at how this turns out. Quarterback pulls it. Okay. 1st and goal on the first possession of the game, basically. So let's look at that again. Again, while I love the gap scheme RPO, I'm occupying all their underneath backers. An easier throw. Is the quarterback, does he have pressure in his face? Yes. We tell him that he's looking at, you can see him, he's looking at that run. He knows by the safety's alignment that this guy right here, if he steps down just a little bit, he cannot take care of that space. There's no way. So you see him get his eyes to the flats. He sees the space is going to stay open. You can see the slot receiver is married with him. He clears the hole, throws the ball in the hole, and we get a big gain out of it. Okay. Same situation later in the game. This time they really try to get the free safety down on it late. They went to a 4-3 box to try to stop our run game. Okay, they've even got the corner down inside, daring us to throw it out there quick. You can see right here. Watch, they're going to bring an outside stunt to try to overload us. Both linebackers are occupied. We put it right in the hole for a nice 5-yard gain. And I'm completely okay with that 5-yard gain. But as you can see now, they're trying to get the safety involved. As soon as he sees the quarterback pull and break, the safety's on the break. We're able to get it in that little hole of grass and make a play. Okay, let's talk about GT. Let's talk about GT counting. I don't call these packaged plays. If I'm going to call it in, I'm going to call it in GT bubble or GT stick or GT go. That's how I'm going to call it in. And so we are going to run the run pass option. Now this team again has loaded the box to stop our run. There's 7 men in the box. We cannot block 7 with 5. They've got a +2 on the overhang, and they can play front side pretty sound. Again, but what are teams going to do? They're kind of scared to play us man because of our ability to throw the football, so they try to give us some space. And what we do in this situation is when we pull, look at all 3 of these linebackers. We're already up on the second level. But look at all 3 of these linebackers. We have occupied 7 people. So we're making the defense play man for man. Okay. We're able to catch the bubble route. And the key to teaching this bubble route is I tell this receiver, you stretch this thing wide on top of the numbers, and you don't make a cut until you can smack your outside receiver on the hind end. That's the #1 teaching point to that route. You don't make a cut until you can smack him on the butt. Okay, because I want to stretch. You see, we get the flat defender here. We're pushing. He's got his eyes in the backfield because he thinks we're running. We're right up in him. Didn't get a great block on him, but got enough. Here's your safety coming downhill as the filler. We have changed his pivot angle. If we're sitting here dancing, we allow these 2 to recover. But because we're stretching it wide, and he's aiming, you can see he's aiming for that guy. He's trying to get to him like a kickoff return. We pick up about 15 yards off of it. Let's look at the similar situation here. Okay, same team. They're going to stack the box, and if you look, they're overplaying our pull side. They've got 2 backers to the pull side, away from our back, and they're going to let him play single. So they're already giving us a bunch of ground, trying to offset backers to play us. Safety's up on his toes. We show bubble. And this is where it's a good situation. He gets his eyes upfield, and he sees if he runs out there right now, then that's going opposite of the block. So here's where the rule kind of changes. But you see, as soon as he does, he's still pushing for his hind end. This receiver works back, makes a block, and he's pushing for his hind end to make a cut. We pick up 10 yards for a big first down. So I'm able to occupy linebackers with our pull in front that opens up the perimeter that much more. Everybody says to me, how can you not block linemen? Why don't you lock linemen? I want to keep the play looking the same. I don't want to sacrifice the run for the pass. If they're going to give me this box and they're going to try to play me with a safety at 10 yards off, let the run be the run. And if it's there, because they may bail out of this and now we're hung up. This quarterback knows we're running both plays. He also knows in a 7-man box we're probably going to have to get rid of it. And you see, plenty of time and space. Our receivers do a good job of getting off the ball, make one cut, and get to pay dirt. And that's why I love RPOs off of gap schemes, is because you're manipulating linebackers, you're making people play man-for-man defense, and you're winning space. So again, as I've said in this situation, we are not necessarily the fastest team, nor have we haven't signed any Division I players. But this is our results for the past few years. This is our results for the past few years. And that right there tells me we run the balls effectively as a two-back team. Do we put in some 11 personnel? Yes. We might use it 10% of the time. Game situational stuff, sometimes when you're down on the 1 yard line, yes. But this is yards came solely from a one-back set that you're looking at right here. If you have any questions or concerns, I'm always free to talk. You can message me on Twitter. I'll pick up the phone and go over stuff with you. Whatever you need, I will definitely do it and help you in any way I can. Thank you guys, and I appreciate it.